tiptoe through the window, by the window, that's where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me.
This happened to me just recently and I can't stop thinking about it. I'll start this story by saying I'm a 30-year-old female living with my fiance and 2 dogs. My huskies are not guard dogs to save their life. They don't bark or howl, and these dogs love people. My brother-in-law and friends have walked in multiple times and the dogs don't make a sound. Anyway, it's 8 PM and it's dark out and I'm home alone. I'm in the bathroom with the door closed and the blow dryer going, so I can't hear anything going on around me. That is until I hear one of the dogs howl. I stop the blow dryer and listen, thinking that the dogs are fighting. Then I hear a faint knock, and the dogs start going crazy. They're barking, howling, and jumping into the bay window so bad I thought they'd break it. I'm thinking, what the hell is making them go crazy like that? Maybe a dog or a skunk, so I looked out my bedroom window as it was the closest view to the front door for me. From here I can see there are 2 men in hoodies, standing at the front door with their faces covered. All of a sudden, one of them starts to try and picklock my door. After an unsuccessful attempt at breaking in, they start knocking louder, and this time my 2-year-old husky jumps from the bay window to the front door and starts growling and ramming his body into the door. I'm watching this from my bedroom. As the dog jumps into the door, one of the men jumps back, startled, looks at the other guy, and they start booking it down the road. I called my fiance to get home ASAP. I watched them run away down the road. I was so creeped out and still am. Thank goodness for my crazy dogs. This was in the middle of summer and my parents had left for the weekend to go to our house in Cape Cod. It's about a 2-hour drive away, so it's no big deal for them to leave me alone for a few days. Things went well the first night I was alone. I stayed up until 3 in the morning playing video games, so I woke up late the next day. I checked my phone when I woke up and saw it was a little past 1. I had made plans to play some street hockey with my friends at 3, so I threw myself out of bed and stumbled into the shower. I was in there for about 45 minutes when I heard someone open my front door. The bathroom is directly up the stairs from the back door, and the door is pretty loud when it opens and closes. I immediately froze, since obviously I was supposed to be alone. I waited for about 2 minutes, ears trained in on trying to hear anything else. Nothing. I figured it was just the wind, or maybe my parents were home early, so I turned off the shower, wrapped my towel around myself, and slowly walked down the stairs to check it out. The stairs to the kitchen are pretty tight and walled in, so I can't see into the kitchen when I walk down. Even though my house is old as shit, and each step on the stairs makes a super loud creak, I still took my time and tried to be as quiet as possible. I probably took about 45 seconds walking down all 12 of the stairs. In my mind, I knew I was being stupid. There wasn't anything in the kitchen. There was no way I wouldn't have heard another noise, and there was no reason for them to still be in the kitchen even if there were burglars or something in the house. After sort of mentally chastising myself for being such a wuss, I sort of chuckled to myself for being so stupid and just normally walked the last 2 stairs and turned the corner into the kitchen. Then, as I reached the floor, standing about 2 feet away from me in the middle of my kitchen is a man staring straight at me. Perfectly still, with a massive smile across his face. The thing I remember most vividly wasn't his face or his creepy smile, but his arms. They weren't just at his side. He held them in the strangest, most abnormal position I've ever seen. They were where one would normally hold their arms, but he had rotated them to the point where they were almost completely reversed as well as lifting them, and a little behind himself. I don't know why I remember this so much, but it's just the most demonic, abnormal position I've ever seen. At that moment, I just took a step toward him and punched him as hard as I could in the jaw, sort of half-slapping, pushing him towards the ground. The second I connected, I beelined up the stairs, dropping my towel in the kitchen with my heart beating out of control. I sprinted into my room, locked the door behind me. I quickly put up a chair against a doorknob. Almost without thinking, I immediately called 911, nearly in tears, and told the operator what happened. As I sat on the floor of my room, in practically the fetal position, staring at the door praying that a cop would be here soon, I noticed the light, coming from the gap between my door, had stopped. He was standing outside my door. At this point, I was paralyzed with fear, watching the shadow across the bottom of the door shift in tiny ways. I stayed balled up, staring at the gap, praying the man would go away for what seemed like an hour. All the while, the 911 operator was asking, "Hello? Are you there? Hello?" I didn't want to make a noise, and even if I wanted to move my arms to bring the phone to my mouth, I don't think I could have. Eventually, the light returned to the gap and I heard the faintest of footsteps, slowly creaking the wooden floorboards as he walked down the hall. It was silent for minutes, as I just sat there curled up, unable to even speak. I heard banging on the front door and the sound of 2 officers entering my house. I finally felt safe and I opened the door to the 2 of them standing there. My parents don't leave me alone anymore, and I check every lock in the house before going to bed. I still get nightmares about it sometimes. Even working with sketch artists and a few lineups, the police have never found who the hell was in my house. Every time I look outside, I half expect to see him standing across the street, smiling under a lamppost. I have no idea what he wanted or who he was, but regardless, I hope he never returns. One of my childhood homes had a balcony that was attached to both my mother's bedroom and mine via big double glass doors in each of our rooms. Next to the balcony are 2 trees, one I often used to climb up and down from the balcony. One night when I was about 13 and my brother and mother were at home, I was reading in bed with a very dim reading light. I heard what sounded like something moving in one of the trees outside, but this didn't worry me as possums and bats are common in our area. I had thin curtains on the glass doors that separated my room and the balcony. As mentioned previously, the doors faced out towards the street where the streetlight was, always visible through my curtains. Shortly after hearing the tree rustling noises, I see a shadow slowly move past the doors, at which point I immediately turn off my reading light and freeze like a deer in headlights. The shadow was tall, so it wasn't one of the neighbor's kids that I'm friends with, and it wasn't my mother. The person moved slowly, creeping as though they were trying not to be noticed. They wouldn't likely be able to see into my room, but I could see them thanks to the streetlights behind them creating a dark silhouette. They moved past my doors out of sight. I sat there, unable to move or even think about what to do, other than be still. That is until I heard another sound, the sound of someone trying to open the glass door of my mom's bedroom. I didn't know if she had locked them or not, but I wasn't going to take any chances. I moved as quickly and as silently as I could to her bedroom door and locked it. I listened for what the person was doing now. They were still jiggling the glass door handle, but it sounded like the doors weren't opening. I felt relief this person couldn't get in. Surely, all I had to do was wait for them to realize that, and then they would leave, right? I heard light footsteps move back along the balcony to my glass doors, until I saw his shadow stop directly in front of them. Again, I froze. He couldn't see me. He couldn't know I could see him. I saw a shadow of a hand reach up to my door handle, and my heart stopped. The seconds leading up to him grabbing the handle felt like an eternity, but thankfully, when this person tried to open the door, it did not open. It was locked. After this, he began pacing the length of the balcony. I didn't have a mobile phone as my mom thought I was too young to have one yet, and the landline was at the other end of the house. I was too scared to take my eyes off of this person to even call for help. Then, I heard him stop moving and he said, "I could just break the glass, you know." Before I could even process this, I saw car headlights turn around the corner of my street and then stop at our property gate. My mom was finally home. The person on the balcony moved out of sight and I heard a loud thump as they jumped off of it. When my mom came inside, I was hysterical and was barely coherent in telling her what happened. Eventually, I got the message across and she called the police. They never found or caught anyone, but a neighbor reported a truck in the street that matched the description of a truck that had been reported recently for attempted child abductions near my school, a block away.